Hello, everyone. As you're finishing up your lunch, I just wanted to take your attention back to the front of the room for a few minutes for our lunchtime conversation. As I mentioned in my welcoming remarks this morning, the Animal Law and Policy Program is very grateful to our Dean, Martha Minow, for her strong commitment to our mission. And social justice causes of all kinds have no better friend and supporter than Dean Minow. She has dedicated her own scholarship and professional activities to human rights and advocacy for members of racial and religious minorities and for women, children, and persons with disabilities, and issues of social justice and social change of all kinds. As Dean, she works to create an environment in which students, faculty, staff, and the entire community here can work to fulfill our own potentials in the areas of social justice. And we are so thankful that she is able to join us today for some brief remarks on animal law, on the new program here, on the Animal Welfare Act. And please join me in welcoming Martha Minow, the Morgan and Helen Chu Dean and Professor of Law. Thank you, Martha.
That was incredibly kind, and I'm sorry to be interrupting your lunch, but I want to say that I have been so excited about this happening, and now it's here. It is a dream, and the leadership of this program have transformed the way in which not only people at this institution think about animals and their relationship to law, but I believe what the prospects are for the academy playing a bigger role and a more important role in changing the conversation and improving it. I want to say just a few things about this moment, 50 years since the adoption of this law, 150 years since the Massachusetts Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, 14 years since the creation of this program, and I don't know, about 50 years since I became a zealot for animals. So now you're going to start to calculate how old I am. Please don't do that. So I don't know, I was in high school and invited to do an experiment to show the problems of pollution. So in my naivete, I designed an experiment that exposed mice to sulfur dioxide and carefully measured each week what happened with exposures to sulfur dioxide. I hope to God no one allows a high school student to do anything like this anymore. No one ever said to me this is a bad thing to do. I watched the mice get sick. That's what I did. And I then went to the teacher and I said, I can't do this anymore. She says, you're going to ruin the experiment. That was the moment. That was the moment. What can I say? I became a vegetarian. I mean, this is a personal thing for me. What I guess is more connected to the themes that Kristen pointed out is that as a lawyer, as an academic, I actually think that if we do not encounter and deal with every single day those who are othered by the law, those who are made not the center of concern, that we're all responsible for what happens. That's what drives me and my own work. And then there's this just remarkable possibility of the experience of wonder and learning that comes. I heard it came several times this morning in learning about orca families, for example. The worlds that you discover when you no longer push to the margin those who aren't speaking for themselves. Animals are speaking often a language that if we could understand it, we would learn much more. I myself am just in awe of the ways in which we're learning about how dogs can sense when a human being is about to have an epileptic seizure, the dimensions of experience and perception and meaning and possibility. What seems to me most impressive, though, about this particular day, this conference, tomorrow as well, is the way that it has attracted such extraordinary people, and people from so many different sectors, and so many different necessary perspectives if we're really going to make the promise of animal welfare meaningful for the present and the future. And on this, I guess, in my own view, it's just incredibly wonderful to have scientists and lawyers in the same room, to have scholars and advocates in the same room, to have students and teachers teaching each other, to have public officials at every level who are trying to implement the law and discovering what works and doesn't work. The genesis and evolution of the Animal Welfare Act, the way in which it has made a material difference in the lives of animals, the ways in which it can be approved, brings us all together. But I think beyond that larger purpose is the purpose of actually force multiplying. How can we do more by working together? I myself learned in preparation for today that none of the 9 billion animals raised for food in this country are covered by the Animal Welfare Act. I didn't know that. And of course that's true for the mice like the ones I was experimenting on, and the birds and others used for research. I think that we share in this room common ground, caring about the purposes of the Act, and I hope and believe that this is a predicate for many more conversations and many more possible collaborations and relationships to make the vision real. I want to congratulate the Animal Law and Policy Program. I want to give my deepest thanks to Professor Kristen Stilt, to Chris Green, to Delcy Winders, to Kelly Reddy. Will you join me in applauding them? I also want to thank the co-sponsors, and this is not a perfunctory thank you, and it's not just because they gave money, because that's also nice, but to be co-sponsored here by the center that we have here, the Petrie-Flom Center on Health Law, Policy, Biotechnology, and Bioethics, and by the Harvard Food Law and Policy Clinic, is a statement. It's a statement that the issues here join health, food, and animals. And we cannot make any progress unless we think about all of that together. I do want to thank the Petrie-Flom Kamen Fund for contributing to this conference, and in particular to thank the people who are here and who were behind the scenes from these different organizations to make this possible. And of course, my special gratitude to Jeff Thomas and Bradley Goldberg and Bob Barker, who had the vision to provide support to challenge Harvard Law School, to say, so what are you doing for animals? And that challenge had launched something 14 years ago, and now I think we're really never going to look back. So please do me these two favors. Do not leave here today, tomorrow, without talking with someone that you don't know and getting to know them, and so that you can follow up with them. That's favor number one. And favor number two is do absolutely contribute to this possibility of bridging the differences that are represented in this room. Whether that means challenging someone, what was that abbreviation, what did you mean? Or other kinds of ways in which we, without thinking about it, divide ourselves from others. We will not make progress unless we work together. So thank you all for being here.
Hi, everybody. I'd like to thank Dean Minow for her remarks. And as an alum, it's been a real honor for me to come back and give back to this institution that has given me so much throughout my life. And I couldn't be prouder to be back working under the leadership of two great people in Professor Kristen Stilt and Dean Martha Minow. It really means the world. So another round of applause for both of them. And so, yeah, we have our next panel is going to be starting at 1 o'clock, so you have some time. And as the dean said, get together, mingle, and discuss some ideas while we have some extra time. Thank you so much.